This amazing video has been brought to you by Bleed, Steam, and Steel by Lars. This novel is packed full of romance, intrigue, violence, and steampunk goodness. And if you're looking for your new best girl, then look no further. If you're interested, please check out the link down below, and on with the video. Hi there everyone, Lars here with another Writer's Rant, brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And for today's rant, I really want to rant about, what on earth does Christmas mean? Now, for me to explain this, I'm going to be looking primarily at Amphibia's latest episode, Little Froggy Christmas. This was a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed it, but there was something that stuck out to me that made it not hit as hard as I wanted it to. And that is why I'm going to use this as an example of why we really need to understand what Christmas is for us as writers and what it means within our stories. So very similar to when I talked about how you should use Halloween, if you're going to be writing a story based within that holiday, you need to understand what really makes up Halloween. You have to understand its history and what makes a great Halloween experience, despite the fact that we've all had very different Halloween experiences in our own personal lives. The same thing goes for Christmas. Now, Christmas is even harder to quantify than Halloween because depending on where you are, you have Santa Claus or you have St. Nicholas. And if you have St. Nicholas, well, what kind of St. Nicholas do you have? And you might be in some countries or in some places where they celebrate Christmas but have no Christian background to it whatsoever. They just really enjoy the holiday. So yeah, with all of these different interpretations of Christmas, there are thousands of them and even hundreds of thousands of little family and personal traditions in the mix. Really, well, what is Christmas? I'm going to give my personal opinion as a writer that when it comes to writing a story set within Christmas, you have a few options really to go in. One of the options that is not taken very much anymore is the religious route. There's a whole lot to be said actually in writing a really great religious story set in Christmas because, well, Christmas, whether it be pagan or Christian, is highly religious. And it's a great moment to bring out that topic of faith. What do you really believe in and why do you believe in it? And how does Christmas represent the payoff for your beliefs? Especially if you're going to go the Christian route, well, it is the belief in the birth of Jesus Christ and what Christ is going to do in his lifetime to be the savior and redeemer of the world. If you are a Christian, well, that's what you believe in. And his coming to the earth is the culmination of all the prophecies that came before him, and his life and his death and his resurrection are the crowning achievement of creation. Now then, if you don't want to go the religious route, then you have a few other ways to go. You have the very popular route of commercialism versus selflessness, that we should strive to be selfless on Christmas because Christmas is about everyone. It's about doing good in the world. It doesn't matter. This is a route to take if you're like, I really like the religious tone, but I do not want to come across as religious. So instead, I'm going to talk about doing good for everyone. That's what Christmas stands for. You then have kind of a subset of that where Christmas is about community, where you want to fit in. You want to do what's good for your neighbors and the people around you because, well, Christmas is a highly stressful time. If you don't believe me, go to Germany. You will realize when you go to Germany, it's incredible to celebrate Christmas there, but holy cow, everyone is strung up because it is a month-long celebration and they are freaking out over there. So doing good for your community is a really great theme for Christmas. You then also have Christmas with your family. This is normally where we see the estranged family members come together again for Christmas and rediscover how much they love each other. You then have the more personal stories for Christmas where the character reaffirms or confirms or rediscovers what Christmas really means for them, and it's a very personal journey. Now then, I've spoken in very general terms right here because once again, there's just so much that you can do within Christmas. And this brings me now fully and completely to Little Froggy Christmas. As I said, this episode is fantastic. I personally loved it. I love that you get this crazy story where Anne and her friends are going to create the perfect Christmas float for the Boonchoy family because it's the dream that her mother, Mrs. Boonchoy, has had ever since immigrating to America, to be a part of the community and be in the LA Christmas parade, and that they'll be able to make this phenomenal float that is both very Thai and very American. And then on top of that, we've got King Andreas, who is still hunting down Anne and the Planters, who gets this fantastic new robot as a Christmas present, and decides that the best way to celebrate Christmas is to go and possess a massive Santa and try to kill Anne and the Planters. And it is hilarious, it is awesome, and I love that Andreas goes on a rage quit there at the end, destroying the controller with his energy sword. And yes, the episode ends on a very dark note, which is something I want to get into actually in a later video, going over what is happening within the show Amphibia. I've kind of stepped away from it just for a little bit because I was really interested in seeing where season 3 has been going, and I have to say that me personally speaking, I've really enjoyed it. I know it's kind of divided a little bit of the fan base, and that's something that I will talk about later on. But coming back to it right here, in Little Froggy Christmas, there is a whole lot going on, and the heart of the episode is actually split in two. While there's a whole lot going on with Anne trying to set up the perfect float for her family, and Andreas still hunting her down and trying to kill her, really at the heart of the episode are two different things. The first half of the heart is that Anne is trying to create the perfect Christmas for her family, and that what this perfect Christmas actually means is that it's not the float, but that it's that the Boonchoys finally really feel a part of the community, and that Christmas for them was one of the ways in which they could show that they love being in America, and they genuinely came to love Christmas because it's such a fun time of year. And when you see Mrs. Boonchoy just quickly decorating for Christmas, man, I wish I could decorate that quickly. When you see her decorating for Christmas, she is absolutely loving it. She has gotten into the spirit of the season, of all of the fun, the tradition, the adventure, mixing and mingling, all of this stuff. She absolutely loves it. And for her, the crowning achievement would be to share with her family in an amazing experience where they are now completely integrated into the community. This is an immigrant story right here. This is a very personal story right here. And it honestly delivers the greatest feel within the entire episode. And I was nearly brought to tears actually while watching this. And what also nearly brought me again to tears is that we finally get to see Anne giving her mother the bejeweled butterfly that she got back at Amphibia. I'm so happy that she managed to still have this present on her and that she could finally give it to her mother. That just really meant a lot. That right there, that is the small story of family and that personal story of what Christmas means to the Boonchoys, about belonging, family, community, and just enjoying the fun spirit of this Christmassy time of year. That was done incredibly well. What was not done so well is how the Planters are trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this holiday. They don't understand this, and especially when we look at what's happened in Amphibia, a lot of the holidays in Amphibia are pretty messed up. They're pretty dark. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's hilarious, it's great, but wow, when it's a holiday, something bad is about to happen, which is why Spring's like, are we under attack? Are these weapons? Yes, Elf on the Shelf should only ever be used to slug someone over the head, because whoever brought it into the house needs to be hit over the head, like Krampus coming and beating up bad little children. But ultimately, the Planters need to be introduced to what Christmas actually is, and this brings up a bunch of funny little scenes where the Planters are asking people around LA who they've gotten to know, okay, well, what is Christmas? And everyone has their own different view of Christmas, which once again is really important to point out that Christmas doesn't mean just one thing. Christmas is personal to so many people. And that's really what this episode is trying to get across, is that Christmas is for everyone, whether it be in gift giving, or whether it be in partying, or whether it be the crazy history behind all of the different Christmas traditions, or whether it be going on to parades or stuff like that, or whether it be spending time with family. Christmas is for everyone. There's always something there for anyone to really enjoy if they're willing to find it. And that is a very powerful message in and of itself. The problem is that such a complex, such a big message is relegated to only half of the episode's heart. And this is where the episode kind of does itself a bit of a disservice. It's trying to do too much with too little time. There's so much going on already in this episode, with Anne being with her family, doing the float, with the planters trying to discover what Christmas is, with Andreas trying to come and kill them. There's not enough time to fully communicate what Christmas is for the masses. This is where Rebecca Sugar's song comes in. And now Rebecca Sugar has done a lot of really great music in the past, but I'll be honest, her song in this episode, just, for me, it doesn't land. And I've watched the episode multiple times, and it's definitely grown on me, but it lacks the same oomph that some of her earlier songs have brought. And it's once again because she's trying to encompass such a huge idea into something that's very, very short. And sometimes you can do it well, sometimes you just can't. And in this instance right here, I don't think that Matt Brawley really succeeded in conveying this much, much larger message. And that's simply because of time. He was juggling way too much in this episode. And Rebecca Sugar's song has some really great lines in it, some pretty hilarious stuff. But once again, there's just not enough. And that's sometimes what you get. You can juggle a whole lot of themes and a whole lot of ideas, but eventually you might throw in just one ball too many, and you can juggle the rest. The rest of the episode is great, but one ball gets dropped, and that is this much, much larger idea of Christmas is for everyone. I think it probably could have been carried across a whole lot easier with the planters still going through the whole process of asking people, what does Christmas mean? What does Christmas mean? What does Christmas mean? And then actually at the end, for the planters to say, this is what Christmas means for us. Because at the end of the episode, Sprigg says that he doesn't understand the holiday, but oh well. I actually think that that was the wrong route to go. And that Sprigg should have said, for me, Christmas means being with my best friend. I don't fully understand this, but I get to be with Anne, and I've given her this present that comes from the heart, and she loves it. That would have made that moment there at the end really, really powerful. So, taking a look again at what I said earlier about how you need to understand what Christmas is for you and what it is for your characters. Well, right here in Little Froggy Christmas, we see a success story right here, where Matt really well communicates what Christmas means for himself as a Thai American and for the story of his family by basically capturing it through the Boon Choys. That is so well done. I loved watching it. It was very much appreciated. The second one, however, which is like, well, Christmas is for everyone, which is a great message. He wasn't able to deliver on it, not because it's a bad message, but because he didn't give it enough time. And I think that's something that we should really take to heart as writers. There's a whole lot that we can do, even within a short story, yet it's very, very easy to bite off way more than we can chew. And sometimes, yeah, we can do a whole lot, but if we don't execute it well, then it just doesn't come across as strongly as it should. Now, feel free to disagree with me down in the comments, because I know that there's a lot of people who really love this episode, and there's some people who absolutely hated this one. So I'd love to hear what your personal thoughts are on Little Froggy Christmas, and also what you think it takes to write a very good Christmas story. There's a whole lot of nuance that we could get into, and I think that would be a fantastic conversation to have at another time. But right here, I want you to think about, as a writer, if you're going to write a story that is centered in Christmas or that incorporates Christmas, well, what does Christmas mean to you as the writer, and what should Christmas mean for your characters? I think that's the best advice that I can give on the subject for right now, without us getting into a very, very long conversation. So with that all being said, if you're looking for more great writing advice, then please check out our other videos here on YouTube. We would also love for you to go check out our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We also have writing exercises for you over at our Pinterest page, and we would love for you to be part of our community. Links for all of these sites and more are down in the description. And until the next video, y'all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and tschüss.